Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada. Om Shri Mahaganapataye Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Padyantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Asmadgurubhyo Namaha. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavad Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishwaro Guru Ratmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shri Medha Dakshinamurti Swamine Namaha. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Gratitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamrita Varshinim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayinim Ambatvam Anusandhadami Bhagavad Gite Bhavadveshinim Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutah Stunvanti Divyaistavaihi Vedai Sankapadakramopanishadaihi Gayanti Yam Samagaha Dhyanavastita Dadgatena Manasam Pashyanti Yam Yoginaha Yasyantanna Vidhusura Suraganaha Devaya Tasmai Namaha. Om. Namaste once again, everyone. Those who have not marked the attendance, please do so.
Namaste, Guruji.
Namaste.
Namaste, Guruji.
Namaste.
Hari Om Guruji.
Hari Om. Bahyasparsheshva saktatma vindatyatmani yat sukham sabrahma yoga yuktatma sukhamakshayamashnuте. 21st sloka of the 5th chapter we are discussing. So in this we are discussing about the transformation the Jnani enjoys as a result of self-knowledge. And we saw a few of them in the last class. Samadarshanam is one transformation. Conquering the fear of death is the second transformation. Then we also saw the third transformation is the Jnani has the right perspective in facing ups and downs of life. He is prepared for that. And here in this sloka, and also of course the previous one, Krishna talks about a Jnani's ananda, the joy that a Jnani derives from his own higher nature, Atmananda. So the Jnani has learned to tap the perennial source of happiness which is available within himself. Therefore, he has no urge to look outside, look to relationships, external objects, favorable situations, etc. to be happy. Of course, if the happiness comes from these sources, he will welcome it. But unlike an Ajnani, he is not going to look upon these resources as the only source for his happiness. Because he knows that when these sources are not available or they dry up, he has a reservoir of happiness within himself, which he can tap 24/7. And it is not that this reservoir of happiness is available only for jnanis and not for others. Each one of us have the same reservoir of happiness, that infinite source, which is our own swarupam, our own real nature. It is only that a jnani has not only discovered that infinite source, but also he has learned to tap that source at will, which unfortunately we have not been able to. We have not been able to even discover that source. Therefore, a jnani is one who has learned to tap his own purnatvam, fulfillment, whereas all the ajnanis are those who are depending upon all the miserable external sources for happiness, which can dry up at any time. Not only that, other people can even blackmail me, because once they know that I am dependent on them for my happiness, I am forced to accept their conditions for receiving happiness. Like Pujya Swamiji used to say, in a romantic relationship, one partner will tell the other, I love you, but you should listen to what I say. You should not even look at others. Conditional love. Many such stringent conditions could be attached to receive love and happiness. It is nothing but a subtle form of blackmail only. What else it is, isn't it? So, an ajnani has got anatma as the source of ananda. A jnani has got atma as the source of ananda. And since the jnani has got the inner source of ananda, he does not depend upon any external object. Not that he hates them. He does not, jnani has no hatred at all. He is beyond raga and dvesha. When these external sources of happiness are available, he will happily use them. But when they are not available, the jnani is not disturbed, because he knows, I have got this internal source of ananda. As we saw in the second chapters, Krishna says, all pleasures of external objects put together are included in the Atmananda. Yavanartha udapane sarvata samplutodake tavan sarveshu vedeshu brahmanasya vijanatah. We saw that while discussing the second chapter. So Atmananda is superior to all Anatma Anandas put together, because all anatmas means sense objects, they are all finite in nature. And even if you aggregate all finite objects together, they will be equal to finite only. Finite plus finite is equal to finite only. Therefore, even if you add all the anandas of the world, it will be limited only. Whereas Atmananda, being infinite, is superior to all of them. It is a perennial source. It will never dry up. Therefore, Krishna says, Brahma Yoga Yuktatma. Second line of the shloka. Brahma Yoga Yuktatma. So the jnani, whose mind is associated with Brahman, which mind taps the Brahmananda. Here the words Brahma Yoga means Brahma Jnanam. And Brahma Jnanam is the knowledge that I am Brahman. And here Atma means not the Sachidananda Atma, it means the mind. So Brahma Yoga Yuktatma means the one who has got a particular knowledge that I am Brahman. That jnani whose mind is endowed with Brahma Jnanam, which is the eternal perennial source of Ananda. It is like people having this UPS system. Earlier days, they used to have in computers and all that, for so that the data is not lost when there is a power shutdown or power cut. Now, of course, this UPS has become a very common thing. Every household have got this uninterrupted power supply for operating all the domestic appliances, etc. The main power supply is connected to that UPS system. So when there is a regular power supply, the appliances will run on that power supply. That's a regular power supply. But when the power supply goes away, appliances get automatically connected to UPS and they will continue to function without any break. Of course, UPS is an example. We must remember all examples have got their limitations. Now, you should not ask, a UPS connected to power supply will last only for 8 hours or 6 hours, depending upon the number of connections. Does that mean that Atmananda after 8 hours will go away and all? So such questions you should not ask. Example should be understood as an example. Uninterrupted power supply means when the power supply goes, the UPS system takes over. So similarly, when the Ananda, Anatma Ananda, which is flowing, stops, then automatically a Jnani's mind switches over to Atmananda. That is how we have to understand. So the Jnani has got a UAS, uninterrupted Ananda supply, connected to the Atma. As I said, it is not that he uses it all the time. When Anatma happiness is there, he will enjoy. When people are there, when desirable objects are there, when favorable situations are there, he will draw Ananda from them. But when people go away, the objects are lost, or situation change for the worse, he would not sit and cry. His mind automatically gets connected to the UAS, uninterrupted Ananda supply. And that's what Krishna said again in the second chapter, Atmani eva Atmana tushtaha. Third chapter also beautifully he said, Naiva tasya krite nartaha, na krite neha kaschana, na chasya sarva bhuteshu, kaschidhartavyapashrayah. So, a Jnani has got psychological independence with regard to inner fulfillment. Can you imagine such a beautiful life? Therefore, Brahma Yoga Yuktatma Jnani Akshayam Sukham Ashnute. He attains, Ashnute attains, Akshayam Sukham, inexhaustible Sukham. Sukham means Ananda, fullness. So, a Jnani, he attains Purnatva, inexhaustible Sukham, inexhaustible Ananda, fullness he attains. It is like in the Akshaya Patram, we must have, most of you must have heard about Akshaya Patram. There is also an NGO in India called Akshaya Patram. Of course, in that Akshaya Patram, unless you put donation, nothing will come out there. So they seek donations from the public. Where in Mahabharata, story is there where Draupadi had this Akshaya Patram. Akshaya Patram is a vessel which will give you food endlessly. It will never dry up. So imagine that you have got an Akshaya Patram which gives Sukham. And that Akshaya Patram is the Atma. Therefore, he says, Akshayam Sukham Ashnute. Since this Ananda is infinite Ananda, Krishna says, all the worldly pleasures are included in this Atmananda. As I said, all finite things are included in the infinite. For example, you can take all the gross pleasures like pleasure of eating, sightseeing, chit-chatting, watching TV, subtle pleasures of art, dance, music, science, whatever Ananda you name, they are all included in this Atmananda. And it is not that if you have this Ananda, you will miss the other Anandas. Normally, people think that if they are attending these classes on the worst days, Saturday evening and Sunday evenings, right? Of course, overseas it is morning. We will miss whatever program is there on the TV at home, etc. So when you are here, you miss there. Similarly, one may think that if I go to spiritual pleasure, will I not miss these wonderful sense pleasures of the world? In fact, these are all, Swami Paramathananda ji says that many people sympathize with the sannyasis like him. They say, poor chap, he does not have a wife, no children, no enjoyment. Some people even feel he should not have taken sannyasa at a very young age. He should have got married and then later on take sannyasa. They don't understand anything about sannyasa. Only when you get married, you see the value of sannyasa. Anyhow, what they don't understand is that getting spiritual ananda is not missing any other pleasures, because all the pleasures in the world are included in this. And therefore, a jnani does not miss anything in life. Only an ajnani, in spite of going on acquiring any number of things, will continue to feel that he is missing something. And therefore, Krishna says, Bhashya Sparsheshu Asaktatma. This jnani is not interested in nor obsessed with external sense pleasures. At the cost of repetition, let me reiterate that he does not hate anything. Because hatred is as much a weakness as attachment. Raga and dvesha are looked upon as the same weakness by the Shastras. Therefore, if you give a sannyasi a tasty bhiksha, he is going to enjoy it. Asaktaha means not obsessed with them. Bhashya sparsha refers to sense pleasures. Bhahyam means external world. Sparsha means contact with the external world. That is the sense pleasures. Asakta Atma. Here also Atma means the mind. So asakta means detached, not obsessed with, etc. So this jnani who is not obsessed with the external world, he will get Atmananda, which is Akshayam, infinite. And with this 21st verse, Krishna has concluded the topic of Jnana Yoga, which you remember, the topic is started from verse number 13. So 13 to 21, he dealt with Jnana Yoga. And in fact, as I told you earlier also, this Jnana Yoga is the central theme of the 5th chapter, which is known here as Sannyasa Yoga. Inner renunciation or detachment. That's the emphasis here. Merely external renunciation is not going to be of any help unless it is accompanied by inner renunciation. In fact, what is more important is inner renunciation, not the external renunciation. So after completing this, now Krishna is going to wind up the 5th chapter. In the following verses, beginning from 22nd sloka, Krishna is going to deal with 2 topics. One is the mental preparation required for self-knowledge, which will be dealt in, Shloka 22 and 23. And from 24 onwards, Krishna will talk about the benefit of self-knowledge. So these two verses, these two topics will talk about 22 and 23 will talk about Jnana Sadhanam, and the rest of the verses till the end of the chapter will deal with Jnana Phala. And varieties of mental disciplines are discussed throughout the Gita. This is not the only place where Jnana Sadhanam is being discussed. Earlier also we have seen Jnana Sadhanam. So all those, wherever there is an opportunity, Krishna introduces the Jnana Sadhanam so that the seekers, the mumukshus, they can progress in their spiritual journey. So in these two verses, 22 and 23, Krishna is going to highlight a particular discipline, which we will see now. Yehi samsparshaja bhoga hai dukkayonaya evate adyantavantak kaunteya nateshu ramate buddha. So the Anvaya of this shloka is, He kaunteya, te bhoga hai ye samsparshaja hai hi dukkayonaya hai eva adi antavantah buddha teshu na ramate. After adi antavantah, you can put a comma. Because all these are adjectives. Dukkha yonaya hai, adi antavantah, adjectives to samsparshaja bhoga. Okay. He kaunteya, O Arjuna, te bhoga hai, those pleasures, ye samsparshaja hai, which are born of contact, hi dukkha yonaya hai eva, are indeed sources of sorrow only. Adyantavantah. You can split it adi and antavantah. Because they have a beginning and an end. Buddha, the wise person, teshu na ramate, does not revel in them. So the simple meaning of this sloka is, O Arjuna, those pleasures which are born of contact are indeed sources of sorrow only, because they have a beginning and an end. The wise person does not revel in them. So here, Krishna talks about a basic human problem, which is the universal problem of a human being, which we call samsara or bondage. So a spiritual seeker has to discern this basic human problem, and he should have a sincere desire to get out of this bondage. And that is why, when you come to Gita class or when you come to Vedanta, nothing will make sense unless you are very serious about it. There should be a very intense desire, tivra icha, as the Tattva Bodha says, to get out of this samsara, to get out of this bondage. Most people are resigned. They say, nothing can be done about it. It's again their ignorance. Something can be done about it, and that is what Vedanta is trying to do. So here Krishna says, every sense object in the world, which we contact through our sense organs, is capable of giving us pleasure, fulfillment, or happiness, and therefore they are called Vishaya, objects of the sense organs, which are capable of giving bhoga or sukham. So all those pleasures born out of those contact between sense objects and sense organs are called by Krishna as samsparshaja bhoga. Pleasures or joys born out of contact or interaction. Samsparsha means interaction. Jaha means born out of. So Samsparshajaha means born out of sensory contact. And bhogaha means pleasure, happiness, joy, fulfillment. So, samsparshajaha bhogaha means contact born pleasures. And as I said, contact between what and what? Contact between the sense organs and sense objects. We have got five-fold sense organs: ears, eyes, nose, tongue, and skin. And we have got five-fold sense objects also in the form of Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. Mere presence of sense objects cannot give pleasure. Similarly, mere presence of sense organs also cannot give pleasure. A contact between the sense organs and the sense object is necessary for pleasure. And whatever pleasure comes is called samsparshajaha bhogaha. In fact, the entire world is capable of giving us such pleasure, such samsparshaja bhogaha. And another thing we must note, what give me bhoga may not give you pleasure, you bhogaha. But you have some other object of pleasure. And when I use the word object, it need not be inert objects only. It means living living beings also. You enjoy their company as long as they are around you. You are happy. In fact, you cannot even imagine a life in their absence. Even that pleasure, that fulfillment, Krishna calls as samsparshajaha bhogaha. So through sense organs, you have an emotional contact and therefore emotional fulfillment. It can be a human being, it can be a pet also. So thus objects, situations, beings, all put together, we call Vishayaha. And the sense organs are called Indriyani. So Indriya Vishayaha Samsparshajaha Bhogaha. That's how we have to understand. All pleasures born out of Indriya Vishaya Samsparshajaha. And here Krishna tells that all the pleasures of this world are wonderful. But they are like rose flower. Rose flower is beautiful, very nice smelling. But the problem is every rose has got its thorn. Similarly, all pleasures, all bhogas have got a problem also. Every worldly pleasure is mixed with pain also. And in fact, we can understand threefold pain. First is a pain of acquisition. How much struggle we undergo to acquire some, an object of pleasure, whether it is some other being or some object, etc. Be it a house, a car, whatever it is. Then the pain of preservation. How much compromise, how much alert you have to be to preserve that. And number three is the pain of loss. And each pain is more intense than the previous one. If acquisition is dukkham, preservation is dukkhataram, and loss is dukkhatamam. And therefore Krishna says, dukkha yonayah evate. Yonayah means mixed with. All those sense pleasures are mixed with pain also. There is nothing called pure pleasure in the world. There is no such thing called pure joy. Every pleasure is like a coin. Just as a coin has got two sides, every pleasure has got the reverse also, which is dukkham. And here Krishna gives the reason also why they are dukkha. He says they are adyantavantah. The reason is all contact bond pleasures have got a beginning. Whether it is a relationship with another human being or a possession of a particular object, the contact has a beginning. So it has got an adi. And what is the universal law? The universal law is that anything that has got a beginning has got an end also. Whatever is born has to die. So adi antavantaha. So if their arrival is a pleasure, their departure will be pain. Suppose you say, no, no. In some cases, departure is a pleasure. Because, there is a popular saying, some people give happiness wherever they go, and some people give happiness whenever they go. So, if an object or a person gives pleasure by their departure, then the very same object will give pain by its arrival. So, either way, adi antavanta. If it is the arrival gives pain, the departure will give pleasure. If the arrival gives pleasure, the departure will give pain. This is the natural law. It's a universal law. And the world is full of arrivals and departures. So, adi antavantaha he kaunteya. Therefore, the basic truth that Krishna wants to say is that the world or the objects are a mixture of pleasure and pain. Please understand that. That's what he is urging upon Arjuna. Okay, it's a mixture of pain and pleasure. How to handle that? What are the options for us if the objects are a mixture of pleasure and pain? What can I do about it? This is where we all get entrapped. One option is we decide to possess the object. One possibility. So when I choose to possess the object, certainly I will get pleasure from that object. But the problem is that since every object is mixed with pain, I should have the inner strength to face the pain aspect of the object. But unfortunately, my mind is not prepared for facing the painful consequences. I am prepared for the rose, but I am not prepared for the thorn. So whether I am prepared or not, the object will at some point will give me pain and I will suffer the consequences. Therefore, if I decide to have the object, I have to first understand that at some point it will give pain and I should be ready to mentally prepared to face the consequent pain. So what is the other option? Other option is to avoid pain. What I should do? Since every object has got pain in it, let me renounce everything. Give them up. I will forego them. But that is also a problem because when I give up things, I face the problem of emptiness of the mind, bankruptcy of the mind, loneliness of the mind. I miss things. I miss people. People complain, I do not have a companion. Many sannyasis who have taken sannyasa, as a knee-jerk reaction to some domestic problem, or taken sannyasa directly at the brahmacharya stage, may feel sometime that I should have got married. Therefore, If I do not have things, there is an advantage, all right. Because those things which I do not possess will not cause pain. But the problem is that if I do not have those objects, I have to face the emptiness of mind. And it is because of this emptiness of the mind that people are running after possessions. Therefore, if I give up the object, I have to face limitations, emptiness, missing, etc. If I possess the objects, I will have to face the pains which are mixed with the objects. Either way, I am in trouble. Having things also is a problem. Not having things also is a problem. Many people complain, we got saddled with lot of work. They say, I've got lot of work. They complain. I am tired, irritated, and etc. And suppose they have no work at all, then also they complain. I am bored to that, there is nothing to do. This complaining nature is what is called samsara. One of the aspects of samsara is this complaining nature. When you have complained. When you do not have, also complain. So having things also, I face problems. Not having things also, I face problems. Therefore, if I diagnose the problem, then I can find the solutions. Because I will have to choose one of the two. There is no third way. Either I should possess the things or suffer the problem of possession, or I should dispose all things, suffer the pangs of dispossession, emptiness. So question is, which will I choose? There is no third alternative also. So one solution is do not possess anything, no wife, no children, no money, nothing. I will be ekaki, aparigraha. But if I decide to do this, I will mix things in life, miss things in life, emptiness, craving for belonging. Because as a human being with emotions, I want somebody to claim as mine. I want somebody to claim me as theirs. Somebody should say, oh, you are mine, you are mine. I want to say to somebody that you are mine. Shankaracharya calls it aham yesha mama yete problem. These people, persons belong to me, I belong to them. Therefore, one option is I decide not to have the object at all, but then the result is loneliness. And what is the solution? There is only one remedy for all these things. I should discover fulfillment in myself so that I will not feel loneliness. Atmani eva atmana tushta hai. Yastu atmarati evasya atma truptasya manava hai. Atma truptasya manava hai. If I have discovered fulfillment in myself, when things are absent, I will not call it loneliness. I will say aloneness. It is Advaitam. Therefore, one option is to give up the world, but learn to be happy with yourself. That is called discovery of Purnatvam, discovery of fulfillment within me. Therefore, if I decide to give up, I should discover the fullness in myself. What is the second option? I do not like to give up. I want to have everything. I would like to have a wife, children, house, car, everything I want. Krishna says, wonderful, have everything. But understand the problem. The possessions will certainly give you pleasure, but everyone is going to give you equal amount of pain also. So if you decide to possess things, what should be your solution? You should discover sufficient mental strength to withstand the consequent pain. Sufficient strength if you decide to have children. Children will do lot of things right from age 1. Mischievous children are one type of problem. And if the children do not do anything, also another type of problem. If they are obedient, one type of problem. Not at all obedient, another type of problem. When they become a teenager, totally different type of problem. When they get married, I don't need to elaborate. So develop the mental strength if you decide to possess or possess things. And develop purnatvam if you decide to give up the things. So either way, if you want to possess, develop the mental strength. If you want to dispossess everything, develop purnatvam within you. And if you do not have these two solutions, the world will cause problems whether you possess them or whether you renounce them. So I should know how to handle the object, whether I decide to possess or whether I decide to dispossess. If I do not have this remedy, the world will cause problem either by their presence also or by their absence also. Now the question is how to discover that purnatvam if I decide to give up everything. And also how to discover the inner strength if I decide to have things. And the beauty is for both, there is only one method. And that method is self-knowledge, Atmajnanam. So self-knowledge will simultaneously give you two faculties. You will be able to give up everything and you will have Purnatvam, or you will be able to possess everything and have the inner strength to face the consequent pains, to put up with the pain. And that is why once you get jnanam, either way it is okay. But if you do not have self-knowledge, possession will also be a problem. Non-possession will also be a problem. Well, we have seen these things happening. People go from one temple to another, praying for at least one child, isn't it? But people who have children, they keep complaining about their children. Classic example we find in Ramayana. Kaushalya and Dasharatha did not have any children at all. But Dasharatha had 3 wives, he did not have any children. Then they did the special yaga and all, and Rama was born to Kaushalya and Dasharatha. Lord's blessing, was born to them. And they were the happiest people in the world. Because I got a beautiful child like Rama. But when the occasion came that Rama had to go to the forest, the very same Kaushalya said, it would have been better not to have any children at all, not to have this child at all. We could have been happy without children. Very same Kausalya. Valmiki Ramayana says. And in fact, she goes one step ahead. If it's any ordinary child also, okay, we can say is anyway sitting at home, he is doing nothing. Let him go to the forest. In the case of Rama, even that was not there. He was a wonderful child. Most accomplished in any field. So at that time she says, such a child, so much pain is caused to me because he is being sent to the forest. So this is our dilemma. This is all samsara, all put together is called samsara. So as long as I am ignorant, I am an ajnani, having is also a problem, not having also is a problem. When I become wise, having is not a problem, not having is also not a problem. I accept all situations because I know that the world is a mixture of both pleasure and pain. And therefore he says, Buddha teshu na ramate. A wise person is one who is not carried away by the pleasures that the world can give, and also is not bogged down by the pains that the world can give. He is aware of both plus and minus points of the world. So nateshu ramate, he does not rebel, he does not get carried away. And the same theme Krishna continues in the next sloka. So here the solution Krishna provides is become a Buddha, gain self-knowledge, become a jnani. Then only you can get out of this samsara chakra, this problem of pain and pleasure. So next sloka, 23rd sloka. Shaknoti hayas Shaknoti haivayas sodhum praksharira vimokshanat kamakrododbhavam vegam sayukta sukhi naraha. So the Anvaya is Saha Naraha Yaha Shaknoti Sodhum Vegam Kamakroda Udbhavam Iha Eva Prak Sharira Vimokshanat Yuktaha Saha Sukhi. You can add Bhavati to complete the sentence. Saha Naraha, that person. Yaha Shaknoti Sodhum, who is able to manage Vegam, the impulse, Kama Krodha Udbhavam, born of desire and anger. Iha eva, here itself, Prak Sharira Vimokshanat, before the fall of the body, Yuktaha, is disciplined, Saha Sukhi, he is happy. Sukhi Bhavati, he becomes happy or he is happy. So that person who is able to manage the impulse born desire, sorry, impulse born of desire and anger, here itself, before the fall of the body, is disciplined, that person is a happy person. So, in the previous verse, the value of mental preparedness for having things or giving up things was pointed out. Unless I know how to handle these two, I am going to suffer in life. When I have this mental preparedness, then alone I will know the importance of self-knowledge. Now, the second value that Krishna highlights in this 23rd verse is another very important aspect, handling raga and dvesha, otherwise called kama krodha. Because raga dvesha only leads to kama krodha. So when Krishna is talking about kama krodha in this sloka, we can actually trace it back to its original source of raga dvesha. All impurities, all problem, kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya, all these are all result of raga and dvesha only. Raga means attachment to certain objects. Dvesha means hatred or aversion towards certain other objects. And according to Vedanta, both are born out of misconception. Excuse me. Raga or attachment is born out of the notion that the world will give me permanent happiness and security. It's a mistaken notion all of us have. Attachment towards anything or any person is born out of the misconception that the object or person will give me permanent security, fulfillment. And it is a misconception because no object in the creation, no person in the world can give permanent security and fulfillment. Because what? As Krishna said in the previous shloka, everything is adyantavantaha. Everything is subject to change. Therefore, the raga itself arises out of a misconception. Similarly, dvesha, that is also a misconception. Aversion, that aversion which is born out of the notion that the world is capable of giving me sorrow. This is also another notion because if the world is capable of giving you sorrow, the jnanis, the liberated people, will not be able to live in the world. We cannot talk about permanent happiness of jnanis. They live in the same world, but they do not have any sorrow. So, if the world is a source of sorrow, everybody should be universally unhappy. But that is not our experience. Because, for example, if some music is playing in a house, maybe a North Indian music, South Indian music, maybe pop music, Western music, loud pop music is being played. Western music. Youngsters in the house, they're playing it loudly. If there's such a loud pop music or music, Western music is played, you will find in the same house the elderly people are extremely unhappy. But they are happy if some classical music is played, especially if they are from South Carnatic music. If it is played, they'll be very happy. Opposite is the case with most youngsters, especially teenagers. When pop music is played, they will jump, they will joy and do all those things very happy. Therefore, it is the same music. Gives pleasure to some people, pain to some other people. Therefore, what do we derive out of that? It is very clear that music itself is neither the source of happiness nor the source of sorrow. The same music gives joy to some and disturbs others. Therefore, the world is neither a source of joy nor a source of sorrow. So, dividing the world into a source of joy and a source of sorrow, according to Vedanta, is a fundamental misconception. It is I who make the world a source of joy, and it is I who makes the world a source of sorrow also. And as long as I do not discover this fact, I am going to blame the world whenever I am experiencing sorrow. And as long as I blame the world, I will try to correct the world. I will try to change the world. In fact, all fashion changes are only because of that. I think that if I change my dress, I change my hairstyle, I put a earring in 1 year or 2 years, I will, be happy. After some time, I find that this fashion has gone out of, this dress has gone out of fashion. I want to do something else. Once upon a time, we used to have bell bottoms. Then some elephant legs or something came. Then tight pants came. Every time this fashion does keep changing, and we keep changing ourselves to fit into that fashion. Every time when the fashion goes away, we end up with lot of sorrow and pain. You must be able to afford the new dress, that's the most important thing. So from all this, it is very clear that my study or understanding of the world is improper, and unfortunately, I can never change the world to my parameters. That is an impossibility. And by chance, if I am able to change also, it is not going to be ideal all the time. And that we know, because that is why there is constant anxiety. In fact, when everything is very ideal, especially, in India, these kind of things are very common. When everything is ideal, we have a constant fear. Oh, somebody should not cast an evil eye. Everything will go away. I can't believe that I am so happy. Everything is working out for me. Because some people say, oh, you have got a very good husband, good wife, wonderful children, brilliant children, enough money. When people say all these things, I feel jittery. And immediately, if something happens, suppose a child falls and gets hurt, it is because of that evil eye. That woman, or that man, next time I see him, I'm going to give a piece of my mind. This is the reaction. Therefore, there is, even when the conditions are totally ideal, there is always an anxiety, fear at the back of the mind that these ideal conditions would not last long. Therefore, we know that the problem is not with the world. The problem is with myself. And the moment I recognize that, I transcend raga and dvesha, both attachment and aversion. When I look at the world through the spectacles of attachment and aversion, through raga, dvesha spectacles, I am living in a private world of mine. And therefore, I am constantly impacted, I am constantly affected. When I remove the raga, dvesha spectacles, I live in the objective world of God, in the objective world of this cosmos, which is neither source of sorrow nor source of joy. If you ask somebody, is sunrise a happy or an unhappy event? For some people, it is a happy event. But for those who work at night, like burglars, thief and all, sunrise is an unhappy moment. Sunrise being the same, for some it is happy, for some others it is unhappy moment. So ignorant will say sunrise is happy or unhappy occasion depending upon their circumstance. A wise person will say there is nothing to be happy nor anything to be unhappy about sunrise. Sunrise is sunrise, sunset is sunset. Birth is birth, death is death. Growing is growing, decline is declining. Association is association, disassociation is disassociation. That world is seen as God's creation without any subjective projections. Until we come to that, Vedanta will not work, because Vedanta requires objectivity. We will continue in the next class. Okay. One second. Om Purnamadav Purnamidham Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Dhanyavadaha. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Guruji.
Guruji.
Thank you,
Thank you
Guruji.
very much, Guruji. We'll miss you in Bangalore.
Thank you, Guruji.
Sorry. Did you say anything? Krishnanji?
We'll
Thank
miss
you,
you in
Guruji.
Bangalore. We'll miss.
Yeah. I'll be back in Coimbatore on Monday. Monday afternoon, I'll go back. Yeah. Tomorrow class also from Bangalore only.
Bangalore only. Okay. Thank you, Guruji. Thank you. Namaskar.
Thank you.
Thank you, Guruji.
Namaste, Guruji.
Stay.
Thank you, Guruji.
Namaste. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Guruji.
Hari Om. Yes, Girish ji, what is your question?
Pleasure and pain is equivalent to Katha Meter type.
Sorry?
Pleasure and pain, Katha Meter, I said.
Katta Mita. Yeah, correct. There was a movie also, Katta Mita, some comedy movie. I remember, Hindi movie. Yeah, that is true. We are all got caught in Katta Mita only in our life. That's it.
Very well explained. Thank you very much.
Hari Om, Hari Om.
Wonderful session. Thank you.
Hari Om, Guruji.
Hari Om. Thank you. Thank you.
Dhanyawada, Guruji. Hari Om.
Dhanyawad. Hari Om.
Guruji, why?
Thank you, Guruji.
Thank you. Yeah, somebody saying something?
Yeah, Guruji, Hari Om. We call spirituality, okay? But we don't talk about the spirit at all. Commonly, we are not actually discussing about the spirit at all, but we all know actually what is the root of it or what is the nectar of Vedanta. It's all about the spirit or that Chaitanya or, which we call it as Brahman, whatever it is. But I'm a little bit skeptical why it is, why we call it as spirituality, where we don't speak about the spirit behind it.
See, I will not agree with you that we don't speak about spirituality, because whenever you say I am, you are talking about spirit only. When you say I am, if you stop at that, it is pure spirituality. The problem is when you add the other adjectives, I am so and so and so, I am a Brahmin, I am a Vaishya, I am an Indian, I am a Canadian, or I am an Englishman. Whenever you add things to that I am, you are deliberately taking spirituality away from your life. Because the I in I am refers to your original nature. Am refers to your existence. Existence is equal to consciousness. To be. Am is what? Is a verb. To be.
8:33
Sorry?
According to them, 12:45.
I'm not able to hear you clearly. Can you repeat?
Not me, somebody else.
Oh, okay. Whoever it is, I hope you are following my explanation. So, as long as we stop at I am, we are talking spirituality only. But because of our ignorance that I am actually represents my spiritual nature, and we feel that we don't understand that itself is complete in itself. It is Purnatvam in itself. We add all other things to make it Purna. And that is where we have a problem. So, it is a question of trying to understand what is Vedanta is saying, that all this world, everything around you is all your perspective of that. The only reality is you. Absolute reality is only you. And you means not the physical body, mind, sense complex. You means your original nature, which is consciousness. So I will not agree. Everybody is spiritual. And what happens is, again, the Shastras we can rely on. The Shastras say that today some people have realized this truth about the reality of your own real nature. It is not that other people have not realized. By and by, they are also in the pipeline. At some stage, they will realize every jiva will have to come to moksha in the end. So this will continue to happen. That is what the Shastras say. So we just need to broaden our own understanding whenever we speak. Whenever you say a word or a sentence, what you should do, contemplate. What did I say? What does each individual part of my sentence mean? Then you will understand.
I understood. I understood. There is no, conflict or dispute in it. But my question is, instead of consciousness or existence, can't we define it as spirit? Then it is more applicable for. I'm just asking.
The word spirit,
Yeah.
we do not actually, our Shastras don't talk about spirit at all.
Okay.
All these
Yeah,
are
correct.
imported from other religions, Christians talk about spirit, etc. And for want of a better word in translation, we are using all those whenever we talk in English, correct? When we are,
Agree.
suppose I am giving a talk in Sanskrit, the word spirit will not be there.
It will never come.
I will only talk about Sat, Chit and Ananda. Correct.
Agree.
So the problem is not what we understand. Problem is with this translation, we call it spirituality. According to us,
Correct.
there is nothing called spirituality because everybody is spiritual. Whether they know it or they do not know, every living being is spiritual living being only. There is nothing, because consciousness is common, all pervading, correct?
Agree.
And Aham Brahmasmi, because we are human beings, we are able to say, when the animals which are there or plants which are there in this birth, they are, because of some past karmas, they are animals or plant, they will also get an opportunity to become human beings. And at that time, they will also get an opportunity to come to Vedanta. And at that time, they will also get an opportunity to say, Aham Brahmasmi. So it is not every, and once you are able to see this, once you are able to understand this, see this, realize this, appreciate this, that there is only one reality, which is consciousness, which is all pervading, samatvam will automatically come. When you see everything as the same, that is what is samatvam. But for that, we have to pass through all these do sadhanas and things like that. Because for birth after birth, we have been bogged down in lack of this knowledge. In ignorance, we have been there. So there is a avidya is there so much that we have to remove all the layers of avidya to ultimately, like a sun shining after the clouds are removed, the vidya will automatically shine. So all the sadhanas that we do, everything is aimed only at that, removing all these layers of avidya which we have got. And avidya, kama, karma, says Adi Shankara. So avidya, kama and karma, if we understand that all these things are the ones which are causing samsara, then we will work towards that. Becoming a karta, bhokta, all those things which you have discussed in previous classes. Yeah.
They are the parent of bondage.
Yes, exactly. Okay.
One more question. When we talk about or refer to the living beings, plant, do they have mind and intellect? Plants or trees?
They have emotions. And if you say somebody has got emotions, seat of emotion is what? mind.
Okay.
So obviously, because we must understand what is common between us and plants is Sukshma Sharira and Karana Sharira. It may not, because can you see your mind?
No,
Right?
no, correct.
But we have got a mind, we understand only when we become emotional. Isn't it? Similarly, plants also got a. Plants are what? Once upon a time, they were human beings. And because of certain karmas, certain punya papas, maybe they were
They are now bonus.
very miserly human beings. So Bhagavan said, okay, I will give you life of a plant so that you will keep, you will be forced to keep on giving fruits, vegetables, everything to others. You will not be able to consume any of them for yourself. I'll make you a plant or a tree, mango tree. I'll make you a mango tree. You will give sweet mangoes to all the people. They will all eat the mangoes and they will appreciate you also. But you yourself will not be able to enjoy the fruit of your own tree. This is the punishment because you are a miser. You are a conjuice. So this is all, kind of thing. We have to just
Agree.
understand all kind of things. So every jiva has got Sukshma Sharira. Mind is a part of that Sukshma Sharira. Maybe, sometimes it will be very pronounced. Sometimes intellect also is a part of Sukshma Sharira. But in some jivas, it may not be pronounced. Right? Because they are pre-programmed. Only in the human being, all these faculties are very pronounced and human being can use it. And Bhagavan has made the human, body or given a human birth only for us to protect all the others which do not enjoy the same degree of, I would call it, sophistication or development, etc. It becomes our duty to take care of the plants, take care of the animals, etc. So all these things, if you go on, the more you study, the more you go into Vedanta, what it should happen is at the back of the mind, you must keep thinking and trying to put all the pieces together. It's like a big jigsaw puzzle. Answers are there for everything in Vedanta. But we must try to develop those answers by seeing the big picture and then try to understand how these
But
things.
yeah. But do they accrue papa and punya? No.
No, they don't
They
accrue
will not.
papa. Their animal and plants are born because of the punya papa of the Narajanma.
Previous.
During a previous, so they are only exhausting their papa karmas. Once the papa karmas are exhausted, they can come back depending upon the balance, their sanchita karma balance. They can come back to human life also.
Okay.
Yeah, they can.
So they
Exhausting.
are born with some portion of the Sanchita Karma.
Exactly.
They are born with some portion of Sanchita Karma.
Exactly. It is only human being who actually, while exhausting, is also earning.
Correct.
Through our action, we are.
Somebody was telling that it is like a tube.
Yeah, we are adding.
It is like a tissue box, one takes and the other pops.
Correct.
Thank you.
Now we have to understand the whole thing. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Lataji, you raised your hand, but then you have withdrawn it. What is the matter? The question is cleared?
Namaste, Guruji.
Namaste.
One of it was yes, cleared, Guruji. Not during this conversation, not during the present conversation. It was about the music, about sense pleasures give pain at some point. Then I was thinking, is music an exception? Because music always gives a joy, and it's always also a way of aradhana to the divinity. But then you answer that some music gives pleasure to somebody, and some music gives the same music can give pain to somebody else. But I have another question, Guruji, but I'll hold it for the next time because the question itself is very complicated. Because I want to share this video with one of my friends who is going through a very difficult time in her life.
Okay.
So I wanted to ask some questions regarding her situation, taking her example, her situation as an example for some of the questions that are there in the mind. But I'll put the question some other time, Guruji.
Your choice.
Yeah, thank you very much, Guruji. Namaste.
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 Namaste,
Pranam.
Namaste, Guruji.
Namaste.
I have one question.
Yeah.
Often I think how the process of self-realization must be happening, occurring. That means if suppose we assume that one is following Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga, so one day all of a sudden he finds himself that he is enlightened, or no, it's a gradual acquisition process in it.
Nobody can predict the process. Okay.
Hmm.
For some people, as I said in the previous class also, I don't know, last week, see, it may not happen in one life. It may take 2 lives, 3 lives, 5 lives, 10 lives for it to happen. Okay.
Hmm.
So, for some, it may happen at a very young age. Without any sadhanas, it may happen because everything has been done in the previous lives, and whatever was left was only a small portion. We have got examples like Bhagawad Ramana Maharishi and all, right?
Hmm.
He was born, and then right from the early stages in life itself, he went to this Annamalai, this Tiruvannamalai, and then there is no formal initiation into sannyasa or anything, but he lived a life as if he's a sannyasi and bereft of any raga, dvesha, everything. So everything depends upon. It's not a sudden thing that nothing will happen. Suddenly, nothing happens in the entire universe, correct? Everything has got a course. Now, the point is how fast you are able to assimilate the knowledge which you are gaining. How prepared you are mentally, emotionally to put yourself in that kind of a situation, face the challenges that situations present, and still try to swim through this samsara sagara. That will all depend upon that. Ultimately, if your desire for mumukshutvam, for moksha is so intense that I want to achieve it in this life itself, then you should be prepared to sacrifice anything for that. So there is no such formula that you do it for 3 years or 5 years, then this will happen and all. Suddenly it will happen. There is no such thing. It will all depend on individual to individual, their preparedness. Some people, 25 years they listen to Vedanta, but they cannot even live one day without a morning cup of coffee. What kind of a renunciation they can do, you can imagine. Isn't it? So therefore, all these things are very subjective. We cannot give any formula whether suddenly it will happen and all that. It will happen. You continue doing the work. It will happen at some stage. If not this birth, as I said, next birth. But once you have set on, you must continue. And the advantage is, once you have set on to this path, even next birth also, one thing is you can pursue this only in a human birth, correct?
Yeah.
That's the advantage. That if you are on this path, the probability of getting the next birth as a human birth is
more.
Correct?
Yeah.
So that you will be helped to continue this. So that is one aspect of this whole thing rather. And in the next birth also, many times you see, like for example, take the case of Swami Paramarthananda, Swami Dayananda Saraswati, etc. My gurus I am talking about. For that matter, any other Swamis rather, who are from Brahmacharya directly gone to Sannyasa, correct? How did they decide that? You and me, we decided to get married, have a wife, children, etc. Correct? How did they decide not to get married? Well, they are also born like us only in proper families with parents, etc. They are not jumped out of the sky or anything. But they are born with a certain mental preparedness, certain understanding that all these things are unnecessary for me. And that is why at a young age, say after 12 years, 13 years, or even 20 years, they are able to move over to sannyasa ashrama without any difficulty, without any, that they are missing something like that is not there. For us, if we actually resolve in this life, probably in the next life, when we are born as a human being, we may also be born with this thing that, okay, I will not get married. Because all these are all obstacles in my spiritual pursuits. I have understood that. Maybe it may happen, just guessing, wild guess. So all these possibilities are there. That this process nobody can predict. How it? Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Hari Om. Anything else? Any more questions? If not, I will close the session and continue next week. Okay.
Hari Om.
Hari Om. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Guruji. Enjoy your stay in Bangalore.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Guruji.
Hari Om. Thank you.
Thank you, Guruji.
Thank you.
Hari Om.
Thank you, Guruji. Hari Om.
Thank you. Hari Om.